Hello. Great to have you here. I'm just looking at the screen because it's a whole lot of fun things going on, but welcome. I know that there is quite a few people that wanted the recording, and I know a couple people will join us in progress, so we're welcoming you. We have muted any lines for the time being, and if as we interact through the call today, if someone wants to raise their hand, they're welcome to. If anyone after watching the recording has any questions, just reach out. It's easy, either info@hasmarkpublishing.com, or you can write me, Judy, at hasmarkservices.com. We'll put it in the chat window at the end if anyone wants it. Today, we're by no means going to keep you on for a long time, but hopefully for a educational fun time is our hope, actually to edutain. So let's get going on Beyond Your Book. This is to, whoops, we missed we got to get used to the technical side of things right now. Our whole goal in today's call is to talk primarily about education and edutainment. We also have the entertainment aspect as well, but we're going to focus today on education and primarily through edutaining. So what we're hoping is to turn your message into a movement and transform your book into perhaps a course, maybe a program, or an interactive experience. What we want to do is let you know a little bit of the distribution, which is here, and then give you some examples as well. So if you've been on a past Zoom call with us, one of these calls with us, you'll have heard us talk about our partnering with WTN, which is World Trust Network. They have launched a private network at this time into the educational system throughout the US, and it goes into schools, libraries, civic businesses. They're in homeschooling. One of their co-founders actually travels the globe throughout the US, bringing programs to the schools, to the educators, to the businesses. So what we're doing and have been doing is inviting authors and creators to transform your message, your brand, your book, your core entrepreneurship into a course, maybe it could be a program, it could be a challenge. And whether you want to teach or inspire, will help you do that. What's going to happen is within the WTN system, within their network, we also have been granted a Hasmark education channel. And eventually we'll also have an edutainment channel, which we think is an exceptional opportunity because they're planning on going public soon. We keep hoping it's very soon. They've been talking about it since about August, and not yet, but I've been told we're very close. They just have to get through some of these things that are going on. So very soon we should see a public education channel for Hasmark that we're inviting you to participate in. Today, the intent is to talk to you and show you some of the examples of what we have already brought in and how it evolved from working with our authors to creating courses or programs or challenges. So WTN, also on the public side of things, which I mentioned they'll be going, is going to be reaching through Roku, Fire TV, Android, and iOS. So their opportunity is something like 80 million households that they'll be able to get access into, as well, again, educational system, libraries, etc. So let's start with the first example. that we have. Scott's an incredible, I actually should have put a slide in here to show Scott recently, because we've been working with him on and off for, I don't even know how long it's been, about 4 or 5 years, I would think. And recently, during our award ceremony, we actually gave him the very first award, and it is the first. We'll be doing this annually, giving out a Trailblazer in Edutainment Award. We found that Scott walked the talk. So he started with the first book, Dax to the Max, Imagination. He created a course from that. He then went to book 2, which is a little older, for a little, and what's really amazing, I love this about it, is his son is aging, and so is the book's age, targeted age, which I think is phenomenal. Both books, he's taken and created courses. He's actually in schools today, and one of the reasons we found him to be a great role model is he edutains and educates. So that's exactly what edutainment is. It's educational material, but being presented in an entertaining way.
And he is very clever with how he moves students to get to a certain goal. So the reason we were so excited to share what he's done is because he started off as a coach, I should say that, so you have a little bit of background in his business, and a speaker. And he actually, even if you go even more further than that, he used to throw kids' birthday parties and goes into schools and has all these incredible activities. You guys can check him out. We'll make sure in the replay we send you his links to see just the amazing things that he does. But the cool thing about his program is that he took the teachings and lessons from his second book, which is Dax to the Max, but it's the blah, blah, blobs versus the power pods. And his whole premise in the book is to get kids to get rid of their negative thinking and come into that positive, find their superpowers and their strength. So the way he organized his exercises was so that at the end, the children will end up with their own like power book, which when we heard that, we were like, that is brilliant that they get to take away and keep that for forever as they keep growing, and let it update. So we wanted to share because
it is inspiring, Kelly.
It's so true. And it's incredible what you can do with what you already have and kind of massage it, be playful with it, and start creating your own version, whatever that looks like for you as well.
I love that he didn't take, like, when we think of courses, of course, we think of the traditional educational system, and we think of, okay, here's the course material, you got to do this, and then, of course, the outcome is the assignment to the student. But he does interactive video lessons, he does activity sheets, and as you said, I don't know, when I was going to school, although Jen was different, I didn't get to create a book out of it. I didn't get to go through all these challenges and have these fun things happening only to have the outcome of a book. And I think that's incredible.
So just by either in the chat, I was curious to see what everyone's business structure is. Any coaches out there that this could apply to, in the sense of what you can create. And his market, of course, was already in the children's area, but you can target literally anyone from junior kindergarten to university levels to continuing education. So let us know, are you a coach, a speaker?
Even in his book, he took the first book and it was a younger age. He targeted, 3 to 5 type of thing, and then he went to a, older, that now he moved into the 6 to 10 years. I love that he then specifically aligned his targeted course, targeted age with the book, and then ultimately the courses too. So I love that part of it.
And it makes sense from him also to add from a business perspective too, because that's
Yeah.
what his material is when he goes and does speaking, when he goes into classrooms and does his exercises live in person as well. So it was a very brilliant way to match not only the creative, but also the strategic and tactical aspect of what
Yeah.
he does.
Exactly, exactly. Maybe what we'll do is share another example that's not a children's book, just so people can see, you know,
Well,
this one also was incredibly fun when we first, I'll call it, discovered them, or they approached us.
yeah. I love what they did. So they started this as a passion project, more or less. It wasn't really with a giant business with products and services offered behind it. So if you
They
are
don't
in this,
even, I don't even believe they have a book. So that's, again, that's what
yeah,
I do love, is that it just goes to show you that you don't have to come from a book.
not with this one at all. So they created series, like I think they said they have probably 1,000 videos total in their overall archive, but they had YouTube channels where they created little mini videos between I would say maybe 3 to 5 minutes long about a word. And they would go into the etymology of the word and how it came to be and what it means. And the way they did it is so creative. It's almost like it reminds me, I'm going to date myself now, but it reminds me of how when Sesame Street came, it was so entertaining and creative the way that you learned, but they do it in such a way that it appeals to the very fast way that we intake information today. It's boom, boom, boom. When you see him on camera, he's a carpenter, and he
Yeah.
made all of his props with blocks, like wooden blocks where you have like the letters written, and it's the coolest set. I have a link to a video if you want to see it. um, but then he plays and he moves and then he points to things and da da da, and it just keeps your attention going. So from this passion project of having these hundreds of videos into the thousand, close to, if not more, they came to us, and uh, him and his wife, they created almost like an 18-week program with different videos that could be bundled together, that made sense, that were on a certain topic, even down to like geography. They had very specific videos alongside that, but they have a very clever way of, and this goes directly into teaching English. And the way they did it was so unusual that you just can't stop but stare. So it's quite different, because like Judy said, you don't necessarily have to start from a book. You can mix and
No.
match here. There's nothing wrong with that.
In fact, this one was, I believe they've been on YouTube for years. When they first created, they pulled a lot of the videos off now. But when I first talked to them, they were talking about the fact that they just decided to just do this word alchemy. And they started presenting it. And then, as you said, Will is a Will Carpenter. Um, he started building these blocks, and I'm thinking how fun it was, because he even uses the movement of the blocks and how he presents it. So it all began with just, they felt the kids weren't really learning the spelling, because I know my great grandson, he doesn't like spelling, he doesn't like reading. And I'm thinking, but when you get a video series like this, where it's fun, and you could actually see this little one thinking, oh, maybe what I could do is get pieces of wood and write letters on, then mix the letters up. Like, it's a better way of being educated, a more interactive way. And we're very passionate about this one. We're so excited when these guys approached us.
Yeah. Meeting them where they're at with their learning styles. Absolutely. Callie, I saw you had a giant message there, and I wanted to honor that because I did something and it disappeared as I was trying to leave a heart. But you had said something to the effect that you're bringing together 7 years of inner work into something a little bit more tangible and teachable and shareable. So we'll be so excited if you want to brainstorm after the examples. We'll be so happy to have you.
We can actually bring it. You're right. I can't find it. It's gone.
I took it away, but I'll share. I was being a little shy after putting it in there, but
Oh, don't you be shy, Callie. We've known you for years. It's great to have you back, by the way.
okay, yeah. Fast forward. I've just been really on I've been on a really a big inner journey, and having had a lot of breakthroughs, and now it's just kind of like things are kind of accumulating and having more breakthroughs, and now I'm kind of like playing with the ideas. I've got this book idea going on, and to basically to um, be a way shower of examples of somebody who, starting with a story of, kind of like determined to be, that is my theme right now, for, we're helping break through journeys. But the bigger thing in relationship to what I started to share was that I have over 7 years of pioneering study work of doing changing perceptions, and this was before we met, but it continued on because I know when I started following Peggy and you back in over a decade ago, and
Wow.
at that time I was very skeptical about what was possible for me, and so it was kind of funny how when I was following along Peggy until she had a breakthrough, finally realized that she really can be a writer, a different writer than she was, big expanding. And it was like, then I kind of went a different direction because I was still playing with that paradigm, not because of that per se, but it's kind of like in a nutshell, like what it is. And so when fast forward, I kept running into different people, different situations to experience to get to the next level to have another breakthrough. And now it's like, okay, now I realize, now I understand that all of that is that I wasn't willing at the time because I didn't think I could. I didn't think I was allowed to. I didn't think I was good enough. I was invisible. And so that's how I played out my life. And now it's like, wait a minute. Now been in preparation. I'm done being in preparation to being in implementing now. And so, yes, I started to mention that. So I have over 7 years of gathered inner work that I've done of taking in deprogramming and programming perceptions. And so I thought, well, why not take and maybe create, some concepts from all of that from the journey and turn it into something greater and bigger, and maybe something with, writing, because that is basically what's really interesting is that for so long I've fought away from staying away from my innate potential gifts, which is creative expression, to be able to uplift and inspire and uplift the hearts and minds of others. But I never could get there because of all this other stuff. And so I thought, well, I did find something now where I can start to work with frequency medicine energy, and help myself and other people. But basically everything kind of comes back to I need to be expressing. I need to be getting out, getting my being communicating and doing that more. And I've always been kind of stuck on the about the money thing. So I'm working on that one too. But yeah, it's never too late. I realize now, that it's like
Absolutely.
so I'm in for the journey.
And what I keep coming back to in your story, from what I'm hearing, is that imagine if when you were 10, you had someone walk you through all these things so that you could start what you were meant to do a lot earlier. So even creating a
Yeah.
program around
Back
that.
I had when I was about 12, or I was in during my preteens when I was in it was a very sacred time, a 4-year period where I was in a foster home that had a special mom who took kids in that people gave up on or that were completely shut. I was completely shut down when I went to her. I was so traumatized. But one of the things that she sparked in me was to reunited my curiosity. and reunited me to always question everything and everybody. Well, that it went to far extent to my being skeptical too, but it served a purpose for when it did, but I'm grateful that those seeds were planted, because then I carried on and went on to college and school. I didn't have formal education. I was diagnosed as developmentally disabled and developmentally retarded. But what the catch was, that I was so contemplative in the way of my wanting to respond, that I wasn't fast enough to give them the answer they needed or looking for. So then they just all feel she's still learning, she's delayed, she's this or whatever. So I grew up with the labels, so I understand what it's like to be from that place of being invisible. And so I always thought that, well, even though I was skeptical, and even though my expression, that was when I was going to say, at that period of time when I was around 12 or so, I maybe it was before 12, it was between 11 and 12 or so, but anyway, it was the very first time that I got the epiphany of what my gift was, which was with words, playing with words, writing. I was taking and writing out, getting creative. I was coached by my mom to, they basically to play with my curiosity. She taught me about the music. She got me really to get out into being able to have some goals with that. And so I was creating these recipes with words. And I ended up winning a
Wow.
contest of being put up on, for they have the welcome, what is it? The schools, in the younger grades win open house. It was open house. And there were four students out of the class that got picked to have their writings displayed, their paragraphs, and so, but then later when I was a teenager, I was in a different placement, different situations, and I was basically kind of talked out of it, you can't make a living doing, being creative, that kind of thing. I don't know how the words were said to me, but it kind of, I was even though the education was something I held on to, nobody could take it away from me. So I proved them wrong about my capabilities later. So, went back to
So
college 30 years later after I started my healing journey, and only had 12th grade in high school, and ended up on the dean's list at college. So like I knew it was my
wow,
matter before I
that's
Wow.
realized I was skeptical
exceptional,
and
Kelly.
successful. So
So,
there you have
so
it.
with that, what I heard a lot of is about when you're in your younger years is see, that's what I would like to do. I would like to be able to take what you've lived. If you haven't already done it, I would take what you've lived and then think about it in that younger self.
Okay.
What is it you want to teach that person? How do you get them engaged? Because far too many kids today are labeled, which is
Yep.
unfortunate, bullied, which causes the labeling,
Mm-hmm.
or they're
Bully
just
too. Sorry.
not engaged enough in the educational thing. And that's what we're trying to do is bring this kind of stuff. What are the tools that helped us as we were growing up to get more engaged, to be paying more attention to it? I don't want the usual, we need the STEM, the science, technology, all that. We need that for sure, math, arts, all that. But can we bring a lot of it in different forms to the educators, to the actually even to the ones that wanted the students?
My mind immediately goes to what you can create from that, and what one of the underlying themes, as you kind of write it out the way Judy said, and you pick out like the important bits that you wish someone told you, that you wish someone guided you with. When you said you recognized your gift, what it was. And I think a lot of children, like I have my 8-year-old that is asking me to read his astrology so he can find his gift. So they are aware that they have different strengths, but I think speaking it in terms of gifts and what you're good at, And I loved how you said, I was a little slow to say the answer because that's exactly my second child. He ruminates so much.
Anna Marie, I did not recognize that that was my gift at the time.
Exactly. And
Yes.
how
It
do
took
we
me many years, even into my, when I started doing this inner work and changing my beliefs, that I didn't until, I started, because there it used to be that, well, what did you enjoy or do when you lived with a child? Well, for me, I was in survival mode growing up, so I wouldn't have really thought of it that way. But then when I did go back and I looked carefully where those seeds might have been planted, and that came back to me that, well, it must be this then that relates to connecting the dots here.
Yeah. And it's so true. And helping and the process you went through to figure it out and land a little bit
Oh
on your
yeah.
and then the process of accepting it, that's a whole other different ball game. But
Okay, yeah.
whether you want to reach the younglings in grade school or the teenagers who have had a little bit perhaps more experience to draw on to say, oh, okay, yes, I do this or I do that, or but I never thought of it as a gift, and to have someone help them reshift and reframe through the processes that you went through and maybe narrowing it down to the few exercises that are going to get them there in a different way. Something along those lines.
I like the pre-teenage period. They're very, that's when I had my breakthrough, when I had in divine intervention too. But teenagers might be interested, but I might like to start with the younger ones.
Yeah,
Amazing. Yeah.
exactly. Those are the most influential ones. And it is
Yeah.
what I like about that is that's exactly what someone needs to do as a creator. What is it? What do you feel? What's your heart draw you to? What age do you feel you want to target as far as those are the ones I want to help? Those are the ones I want to encourage. Because if I had been helped at that age, what a difference my life, as Anna Maria pointed out, it's would be nice to discover things years earlier.
Yeah,
And that's what our hope is to get this so that
yeah.
we are giving these kids, these adults, these young ones, the tools to make decisions sooner in life.
I like the idea that you shared, like what Scott does, where he mixes the ages, it's not just one
Yeah,
age necessarily. But
exactly.
kind of like
Even this one too, Spell-O-Vision, what we're doing is we're having them create age specific. They're saying is it's every age, but of course we all know that, you know, there's simple words and then there's the more complex words. So there definitely is an age target for these, but it's like it's just the beginning, because once you unleash this part of yourself, this creative part,
Well,
it's
something, I just remembered something that, you're bringing this together forward, is that one of the things that I started to play with is to create a journey and a template exercise. And the way it goes is taking and even working with some very specialized handwriting, what do they call it, letters, what do they call them, literatures or something like that, literatures, anyway, the letters itself,
As in calligraphy and ligatures and in the way you would do script writing.
Rogers, she discovered, she was a pioneer who discovered from actually decades ago, where there were some discovered formatting of the language, the letters, that when you write them, it has a bearing on the like the synapses, the firing and wiring of of the neurons of your mind, your energy, your brain, or what have you, something like that. So for example, start practicing writing all of your T's with a capital, the top, always, even the little ones. Just make it a shorter, but at the top. Never, because with that's an example that basically has an influence on your confidence. I don't know how that is, but it works. So I had my very first client that sought me out before I even had something offered, because she noticed that I could help her. And that was one of the exercises that I took her through. Is I took and I recreated a rewriting for her out of her own. What does she wanted to do? What desire she had, and rewriting, but also including the words that are going to have some of the lettering that you want to really emphasize and practice doing, and doing it on a daily basis for a while until something shifts, and it started to happen.
Wow. That's
Exceptional.
Why I want to use it. I don't want to teach how to do the working with that work necessarily, but taking and using it for the journey and writing and rewriting your script.
No, it's so special because we'll share, I don't know, maybe it's a good idea to go into sharing Christine's work, because
Yeah, let's do that.
she pulls a lot, exactly as you described. Her business is to go into corporate and do seminars and speaks and workshops. So she turned that into a book and then turned it into a course that is more from not her delivering it, but her one-on-one work informed so much. And exactly like you spoke about how you do these exercises with your clients, but if you transform them to be used, to be shared in a one-to-many variation, it could be so powerful.
This one, what I like about Christine is she was already doing the training. She then wrote the book, and now she's created the course off of the book, but she's doing it because she's already a mentor for corporations. What we wanted her to do is rethink this in a different way, because of course her mindful presence in leadership, she was more focused on corporations, leadership in corporations. So then we had her shift her mind into educators. So they're still leaders, but it's a little bit different. So she shifted it a little bit, which allowed her to get exclusive content and not the same as her teaching. So it's still based off her books, still based off her teachings, but it's a variation to what she does, which I thought was pretty creative.
Yeah.
It is.
And it leads me to think of, Callie, for yourself or anyone else who does the one-on-one work with folks, what process you can map out that you take someone that you can convert into you teaching it by video and sharing it in a self-led kind of way as well.
Okay.
Because that might be the path of least resistance too, to creating material.
Exactly. I think it's Carol who's popped up and said, what do you think about unique African stories, folk tales? Ooh, now they're right away. I have to, on an educational side, I'm sitting there going, oh, there's so much intrigue about Africa today. It's becoming bigger and bigger as a vision for people to want to go and learn about and become part of, and hearing tales and stuff. What are your thoughts, Anna Maria, on what Carol's asking here?
I almost want to tell you I know you're writing your book. I know it's a bit of a process, but I almost wish I could gift you with hours so you can get this done faster. One of the things that I feel is so powerful about African folk tales and stories is that it connects us to the very thing we need the most today. As an overall peoples, you're very good at that. And it's just so needed. It's almost like, I can't remember if you're writing new ones or if you are taking existing ones and sort of presenting them in a slightly more modern way or with more the language that we use today. But either way, it's very needed. And to me, it's almost like the modern mythology that we need today. And from a putting it in school's perspective, there is so much you could do with that. My kids they're 8 and 10 for reference. They're constantly coming home with an essay to read and answer questions. And when you start giving, and sometimes the stories or whatever the text is picked is so not interesting or relevant or nothing they care about at all. And if you can give even smaller stories, longer stories, of course, depending on the age range you're targeting, alongside for them to explore, to understand a deeper context, to see how do the characters relate to each other, what's the arc, or even simplify it that much more for the little ones with what's a lesson that can come out of it. I think you're hitting the double whammy of teaching them English, reading, but also comprehension from not just what you're hearing with your logical mind, but what you're hearing with your inner eyes, with your soul, with your whole perception, and the meaning becomes just expanded. It's not just, right?
Yeah, and I'm thinking is one of the other things again is bring in history, even though you can do it in a playful way. Every bit of what you're saying is incredible. And what I love about tales is everybody likes tales. Everybody likes stories. Now, if there was an aspect of it that created art from it, you could create games, you could create activities, you could create stories, writing stories, being in a story, reader's theater, I call it. But in school, they do plays, they act out. Well, what about if that became an outcome of it? Stuff like that. Like, to me, it's like I start hearing stuff like that in my mind, it just explodes.
I hope that gave you quite the inspiration, because now that Judy said her, but I'm like, oh dear. Quite. Yes, yes, yes.
Exactly. There's all kinds of stuff, ideas that can come from that.
Carol, are you close to finishing your book? Tell me, I'm dying to know. All right, so as we let Carol answer that,
I think it is the middle of it's pretty late at night for her too. Yeah.
6 or 7 hours. So we hope that with Christine, we shared a little bit about how her business is organized. And if you're in that more one-on-one or in-person style of business right now, it inspires you to see how she did it, how she shifted and tweaked a little bit and was able to get into a whole different market as well. And there's one more example we wanted to share with you today. And this one is completely different. It is not about business or children. So Sandy, she is a spirit medium, and she has so many courses. She actually does a bazillion different things, from courses to one-on-one work to she's an author. So she has
artist.
yes,
she's a
artist.
Musician.
How
she's
could I
she's a comedy hypnotist. I had her at an event in 2015, and she did this hypnotic thing the whole show. Gosh, was it ever fun.
Yeah, so she has a very full docket in the background, how she organized her business. But what she did have, so we always ask for what's the easiest way for you to, and an easeful way, not easiest, easeful way to transition what you may already have into a program. And she had quite a few courses, and I'm going to say about 5 or 6 that were sitting on her website. And she picked one that she tweaked, removed, changed, because WTN, of course, they want that exclusivity. That's the caveat with them. I love the tagline on her cover. I know, it's so good. It's funny because when I looked at her cover, I was like, Sandy, you're so sweet and soft spoken. So, what?
But that is her. She just says it.
Yeah, she does. And she says in the most beautiful, graceful way, but you are just reshifted. So yeah, so she took one of her courses that was sitting on her website that she thought, you know what, you're gonna go there and make and work for me in that way, in this space. So if you have something like that, something just sitting there, something um
Yeah,
maybe
because it could be something that hasn't been used for a little while, or you already have courses that you're selling yourself, or you've got distributed somewhere, but there's a way to modify it so it's got a different angle, or you're hitting a different age, um, or there's a different in everything. It's like hearing about, Africa, there's 100 different ways that can be presented that you could choose. It's what feels right for your heart. So I think it's exceptional. I love that that's exactly what this example was, quite different from the other three in that it didn't come from a book. It came from, what does she do all the time? And then she has these programs that are sitting there that have, you know, she's exhausted her own network. So she's, refreshed them, brought them out, and she's moving on to creating more programs. And that's what she does for a living, which is exceptional.
And I love, Judy, how you said she's exhausted her own network, because part of being an entrepreneur is the marketing bit. And who do you have visibility with? Who are you bringing in as new clients? Who are you nurturing internally? It's a lot of work. And part of why we're excited is because we're trying to give exposure to a market that maybe you didn't have access to before. And that is the whole goal. And the reason why we specifically picked Sandy's is because of this option. You could still go on with doing all the wonderful things you're doing in your business, but again, let's add the strategy a little bit in here. How can we expand who can view your things beyond algorithms and SEO search and all of that fun jazz? Is there a way to just see, okay, I'm going to try to be in front of these people and see how it goes? So that is something we're excited about from that business perspective, let alone the impact perspective that we can have.
Yeah, because to your point, Anna Maria, is that for the years of doing this, and I'm sure Jennifer can attest to this, is that the biggest thing is we've got these messages, we've got these things we've learned that we want to pass on, and we didn't know how to do it. And we're saying is, here we are. We have this opportunity. I love the fact that the founders of WTN want to educate in a different way. They don't want it's not that they don't want, they have STEM programs. They teach safety, for example, but they wanted to present different, fun material to the educators and to the students, and that's phenomenal.
Yeah. Callie was sharing, creating programs from writing makes it more possible to create self-help ideas or life experiences. And it's so true. It's
Yep.
just retweaking, it's just repackaging, not so much reinventing the wheel either, because you do have your body of work. And if you haven't put it down in a format yet, that's fine. Put it down in a book, put it down in a course, put it down somehow, and then start distributing it. And thinking about it that way is less overwhelming, at least for me.
Yeah, exactly. Because we don't have in our case, we don't have a tried and true, which is the best part, as far as I'm concerned, is that you don't have to just create a syllabus. You don't have to just create a program and, all the elements of what, say a semester is requiring, because we are coming at it a little differently. So therefore, a presentation of materials is a little different. We're still trying to stay with the fact that it is the ultimate goal is educate. So there still is that aspect of delivering it and bringing it to the world. And I know I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent, but when I was talking about WTN, and I focus a lot on WTN because their main focus is education. However, we do have lots of other things that are in the background that we're working on. We have several other platforms, networks that we're convincing them this is a great avenue to go down. And we actually have a couple that are very, very interested in bringing edutainment to the world through streaming. So not only do we have WTN, but we have other networks, and their outreach. I mean, I know as an author, I know is in the world of books, it is, I'm going to call it, I'm not going to find the right word. I know, Bob, you'd be telling me there's a better word than challenge, but it is challenging to get yourself out into the world in a big way. Well, that's what we're doing. We're finding the means to get you and your message out to the world in a big way. During the award ceremony a couple of weeks ago, I had mentioned we literally have an opportunity to get out to hundreds of millions, not thousands anymore, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. We're now talking millions. So I don't think I could ever have been more excited than I am right now. With that, I know it's getting closer and closer to the hour. We still have some time to chat a little bit. Of course, as far as I'm concerned, if you have written in a book, it is just the beginning. If you haven't written a book, it's still the perfect opportunity for you to get involved with us. We can assist you with it. If you've got your course already, great. We can talk about it. We'll set up a call with you. And if not, we created what's called Hasmark's Creator Circle. That's to get you into, we're going to help you come up with the vision. We're going to help you map out where you're going to go. We're going to talk to you about all the things that are required to get you into either education, edutainment, or entertainment. So, Anna Maria, you got more to add to this? You're on mute, so you probably have lots.
That would help. Yes, you did such a good job to summarize it, but our whole hope is that if you have something ready, if you have something that could be ready real quick, if you have experience in creating courses and content, book a call with us to see what we can do to retweak if you need to do any work there, and let's see what we can send you over to WTN and get you set up there. And for some of us, maybe we have never done courses before, and if you need that extra support, we're so happy to help you in the Creator Circle as well. But either way, just get on the phone with us is basically, and let us know how we can help, how we can get your beautiful work out there in a different way.
I'm just putting in the chat window our email address. I think it's Hasmark Services, isn't it? Or is it Hasmark Publishing? We interchange between the two. So I put a calendar link in there for anyone who's interested in setting up a time, because I really, honestly, I don't think I've ever worked so much from the heart as I am now. And work isn't even a game. Thank you, Bob, for reminding me this isn't work. So I was chatting with ChatGPT this morning, and it was really cool because that's exactly what we were exchanging. It's like talking to a human. I don't know if anyone knows that, but we're exchanging the fact that we've moved into a whole other place. It's, to me, Hasmark is more, we're going back to the roots, heart and soul of marketing, but heart and soul of what we are doing. And this, to me, is the heart and soul. I love doing the books. I love the creative aspect of doing them, but being able to extend into this is absolutely phenomenal. So if you've got ideas, we'd love to have you participate.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
Deborah. Yes, I am looking forward to our call tomorrow. And if anybody does not know
yes.
what Deborah did, she is incredible. She put like her years of knowledge of aromatherapy and has tweeted the most ginormous volumes that I have ever seen of all of her work. And so when you talked earlier about sometimes you don't have the brain power because it's too full, too much, I'm like, Deborah, you have like then superhuman with all the knowledge you have. So I'm glad it's in there and you're creating your program from that to help the visibility to get into your school. So I can't wait.
Exactly. I'm excited too. Okay. Kelly, you've got a question before we sign off today?
Yeah, I have I does it matter that I don't quite yet have things written out or done yet? I'm sure that I can get it done though quickly, get some things done, but that
None.
doesn't matter, right?
No, because honestly, the way I see it, if you book your call with us, it's your invitation to start. Because eventually we will ask you, well, do you have your outline? Do you have what you want to do? And it will
Okay.
be the structure that you're going to start needing to get her done um, in
Okay.
a way. So that's
Right
what we
now, I'm
found with
kind
our
of
course.
I'm in I'm gonna do some more contemplating on which to begin with, and that's one of the things that I might want to talk about a little bit. But because I'm starting from scratch, but I do have all the content and things in my mind, and I do have some things written and what have you. But I mean that I'm starting from scratch from in terms of where to begin, which to start with, which because there's different ideas.
Yeah. And that's the exciting part. Honestly, that is probably what 90% of our initial calls are,
Okay.
is with
Okay.
just landing in that easeful next step.
Okay.
That is not overwhelming, logical, stretchy just enough based on what you've got. So I'm going to be so excited to talk to you.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Etta had a little note looking forward to discussing how you can help me with my work. Me too. Me too, Etta. Well, with that,
Okay.
everyone, my goodness, thank you for coming and brainstorming and letting the creativity just flow. And we can't wait to meet each and every one of you and see how we may support you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So thanks, everyone. We look forward to seeing you. So take care. Be well, everyone. Okay.
Bye,
Bye. See
everyone.
you tomorrow. Bye, Etta.